What's going on, everyone? Welcome to part 4 of our KeyShot Essentials series. My name's Kareem Merchant, and in this video, I'll be showing you how to use, adjust, and save cameras in your KeyShot projects. If you look to the center of the screen, you'll notice my model visible in the real-time view. This is going to be your main viewport while working in KeyShot, and will be the view that's affected by your camera adjustments. Here, you can see the security camera model that I've preloaded into the scene. If you'd like to download this same model, you can do so by clicking the link in the description or by downloading the model from KeyShot's cloud library. To get started, open the camera tab in the project panel. This is where you'll have control over camera position, orientation, and lens settings, as well as be able to save preferred camera angles. This tab is also where you'll see the effects of any movements or adjustments you've made in the real-time view. Notice as I manipulate the scene, how my position and orientation settings on the right change to reflect the current camera state. And if you make adjustments to the position sliders in the camera tab, you'll cause the real-time view to adjust accordingly. This is something that's important to remember as you work in the real-time view. Your viewport represents the camera you are currently looking through, so any adjustments you make will affect the camera and not the model itself. Typically, when setting up camera angles, I like to make my general adjustments using the real-time view. This allows me to quickly and easily find an angle that works for my needs. After I get close to the view I'd like to render, I use the sliders to fine-tune my adjustments. If you've moved your camera into a position that you don't particularly like, and want to return to a more centered view, you can right-click on the model and select either Center and Fit models or parts depending on what you would like to center. You can also toggle the camera between different standard views from the Standard Views dropdown located in the Camera tab, which you can see here. So now you've moved the camera around and found a composition that you like, but you still need to create more views to render without losing the camera information from the view you've just composed. No problem. All you need to do is locate the camera list at the top of the Camera tab. Here you'll notice that we are in the free camera view. That means you're currently working with the default camera that KeyShot opens with. To the left of the list, we have a series of camera options that allow you to add cameras, tie new cameras to created studios, reset camera positions, save and delete cameras. To create a new camera to work with, select the top button, which will add a new camera to your list. You can also name cameras to better help organize the different views you're working with. I'm going to call this view 3/4 front, and then continue adjusting my scene to create my next rendered view. Notice that as I make adjustments to my camera, the word unsaved appears in parentheses to the right of my camera in the list. This is because I altered the camera's position and orientation from the already saved camera information. If your intent in moving the camera was to reposition the selected camera views, then you would select the Save Current Camera button to save the recent adjustments made to your camera. If your movement was an accident, or you did not like the new position, you could select the Reset button to return to the camera's last saved state. In this case, I've adjusted the real-time view to reflect another angle at which I'd like to render. To save this new angle, I'll simply select the Add New Camera button again to save this new view as its own camera. Notice that when I do this, my previous camera loses the unsaved notification, and both cameras now represent each view I've composed. Often when creating different rendered views, you may want to focus on specific elements within your scene or on your model. The easiest and fastest way to do this is by setting the subject as your camera target. You can do this one of two ways. Either select the Set Camera Target button in the middle of the Camera tab here, or right-click on the model or part and select Set Camera Target from the pop-up list that appears. By doing this, you ensure that the model or part remains the point of focus while adjustments are made. A moment ago, I introduced you to the Camera Reset button to reverse unwanted camera adjustments. One way to prevent cameras from being accidentally altered is by locking cameras that you've already adjusted. Once you're satisfied with the view you've created, you can either right-click the camera and select Lock from the pop-up menu, or click the lock icon on the far right of the camera list. Notice that with the camera locked, all parameters and sliders appear grayed out, which will help prevent accidental adjustments. If you encounter these parameters grayed out while trying to readjust a camera, simply unlock the camera in the same manner that it was locked. Either select it from the right-click pop-up menu or by clicking the lock icon. The right-click pop-up menu is also where you can duplicate cameras if, for instance, you wanted the same view to have different camera effects. It's also one of the places where you would be able to attach animations to your cameras. The last two things I'd like to cover in this video are the lens settings parameters and depth of field. Under the lens accordion, you can select between 4 lens types. First, we have the perspective lens, which represents how we actually see things in 3-point perspective. Both vertical and horizontal lines converge, and by adjusting the perspective/focal length slider, you can control how exaggerated your perspective appears. Next is the orthographic lens, which represents a mathematical view of how things appear. With this lens, there is no perspective. All lines are perfectly parallel and do not converge. This is the type of view that you'll see when you're working with your CAD program. Then we have the shift lens. This lens is best used for architectural or interior renderings. By enabling the shift lens, you get a 2-point perspective view where the vertical lines are perfectly parallel and horizontal lines converge in perspective. And the last lens option available is the panoramic lens. Here you can select between a spherical mode or a cube map to create your panoramic view. This lens type is particularly useful when trying to render large scenes or scenes that require many objects or elements to be in view. It can also be used to create certain stylized effects when desired. While going through each of these lenses, you may have noticed a button that says Match Perspective. This button is incredibly useful when you're working with backplate images. If you have a scene that requires a model to sit in an environment created by a backplate image, simply toggle the Match Perspective button and your scene's objects will warp to match the backplate's perspective. Finally, the last thing I'd like to talk about is depth of field. Using the depth of field camera effect is one of the easiest ways to enhance a scene's realism by mimicking the nature of how a camera lens actually works. You can see here that when I toggle the depth of field checkbox, my scene details blow out. This is usually because the f-stop is too low, the focus distance is incorrect, or both. When toggling depth of field, the first thing you want to do is make sure the subject of your scene is fully in focus. This can be done by selecting the target icon, then clicking on the part of the subject you want to focus on. In this case, you can see that my scene is still slightly blown out, but the point of focus has been brought to the foreground. From here, I'll simply make adjustments to my f-stop to better dial in the look I'm going for. This is something you'll want to play around with in each scene because the f-stop number will be determined by several factors, from scale to artistic intent. Thanks for watching the 4th part of our KeyShot Essentials series. In Part 5, we'll learn the basics of lighting your KeyShot scenes using HDRIs, as well as how to acquire and customize them to fit your needs. Don't forget to let us know your thoughts on this tutorial in the comment section below, and if you found this video useful, give it a like and share with your friends.